Public Works, April 25th meeting. Today we're meeting at this is the east, this is the west meeting room at City Hall. We have a few items on the agenda. The meeting should go rather quickly, but we'll start first thing with the minutes from the previous meeting, which was in January.
The minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It passes. DPW updates.
Nick didn't tell me anything to say, but I know we did finish sweeping Ward 4 today. We will be starting sweeping Ward 5 tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be almost done the entire city by the end of next week.
I can see where it's already been done. There's some it looks really good. It looks really good.
In any street that we have missed, that is either called into us or on C-Click Fix, we'll be getting them done after we get done the regular wards.
So report them on C-Click Fix.
Correct.
And it looked like the ward cleanup went really well the other day. It looked like a good crowd came. Oh, it looked like there was.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, it looked like there was a good
Was it
crowd.
church?
I don't know, I got there and I left. So I
Was
don't
the
know.
church there?
No, they don't. I don't think they do it anymore. But that's another story.
So can I get a question
Certainly.
on the update on Clarendon Industrial Road?
That I don't know. That'd be a question to the commissioner.
Okay.
Can I say something on that? According to the commissioner, he told me that we haven't sent out the bids yet. They're still working on that. They're trying to get everything all at once. That's what he told me. So the bids have not gone out yet.
Okay, so we'll save that for the next meeting. So let's begin. Our first item on the agenda, 03723, City Councilor Bernie Schultz and Anthony Velarde, 229 Rollstone Street, to request a continuation sidewalk pavement on Rollstone and the corner of Charles Street and Rollstone Street to Kimball Street.
Yes, I went up there and talked to the resident, and I asked him to contact his ward council and put in this petition.
Which I,
Yes.
Yeah.
they don't
Okay.
have, there's no existing sidewalk there.
All right, so it's approved to have it done,
Yeah.
just as okay, all right.
It's approved to have it done? Where are they gonna park, the people? You're talking a sidewalk on the right side coming up?
No, it's off to the right. I think you're thinking of where there's parking problems there, further up, across from the park.
No, I'm not talking about there. I'm talking about before Charles Street coming down. There's a multi-family house that doesn't have any parking. The brown house, the first one coming down to Rollstone Street.
Well, this one here is,
He parks in the front.
right, the one on the corner, but he has parking around the back of his house.
Yeah,
They have parking?
they have parking.
All right.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
It passes. 03823, Councilor Andy Van Hazinga to repair approximately 6 feet of plow-damaged berm at 201 Scott Road.
So as it happens all over the city over the winter, the plows take a beating to the berm, so just one area that's been identified that just needs to be fixed.
And we'll take care of it.
Okay, we have a motion?
I got a question on that before the motion.
Okay,
I feel this way. I've been on the council for approximately 10 years. We're spending a heck of a lot of money on berms because they're being broken every time the plow hits them. I think we ought to come up with some kind of an ordinance on the city of Fitz Creek Park that we ask residents to put posts in for guidelines so the new DPW employees or even the subcontractors don't hit. I think we could save a lot of money by them putting a little pole or stick in to guide us, to tell us how far the road is. So this way we can stay a foot away and be away from their property and everything else, and we won't be digging up their grass. I really think we should be looking into that possibility as a city, because I think Gary knows that everywhere you drive around there's berms, and berms are not cheap, and asphalt's not cheap.
well, what I think you should do with that one is maybe have them put in a petition to address that issue.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up to the DPW, so we all can do it, so we all can get credit.
Well, we can't talk about it today, So, but you brought it up, so I think it'd be a good idea to possibly, get something going and have everybody sign it. How's that?
All right.
Do I have a motion?
Move to
Okay.
approve.
Second.
Thank you. Paula. It passes. 08423, Councilor Derek Cruz and President Anthony Zarella, on behalf of the residents of Eleanor Street, Tippett Circle, Watts Way, and Brittany Lane, for sidewalk repairs and improvements to be made throughout the neighborhood.
Right, that's similar to what was happening up at Stony Brook with the trees.
Yeah,
So we'll probably have to do the exact same thing as we can do up Stony Brook.
The trees' roots are
Correct.
Yeah.
popping up.
Correct.
So instead of taking down the trees, we'll maybe cut it so they're not so low and
Yes.
smooth out over the roots with asphalt.
anybody else?
I got a question on the trees.
Yep.
Where the DPW is, do they get involved in the planning? May I ask a former planner? Did the DPW get involved with the planning on planting trees when they're doing new construction, doing a project? Instead of putting sidewalks right on this, trees right on the sidewalks, why aren't we doing it further back?
So it depends, sometimes they are. So DPW does review plans that are submitted to the planning board, and they will often show landscaping and location of street trees and everything like that. It is, I'm sure as Mr. Withington can attest, an older style to have the streets between the sidewalk and the road. Now we try to put the trees on the other side of the sidewalk, so they're out of the public way, less interference with the sidewalk. So that is the trend now that the planning board looks to have. So a lot of these problems are from trees that are planted decades ago.
Yeah.
So we realize it's a problem and we're trying to move and correct that moving forward.
I make a motion to accept.
No?
Second.
Everybody on the motion?
All
Okay, it's approved. 09323, Councilor Bernie Schultz and Amy Green, on behalf of Barry Watson, petition for a sidewalk repair located at 24 Spruce Street.
Yes, the sidewalk is in rough shape and it should
We've got a big hole there.
Yes.
Gary. A huge hole, yeah.
Anybody wishing to speak?
On that. As you look at this agenda, there's a lot of petition here for sidewalk repairs. I really think, as a city council, it's time, and with the planning board, to start coming up with a different plan, because there's sidewalk repairs all the time in every meeting we have, and where we can sit down and take a section and start fixing them, putting new sidewalks in, because our sidewalks are, they're outdated and they're falling apart. Everywhere you walk, they're that bad. So this way, these guys know what they can do, what sections they have to do. It's time for us to sit down and really start looking at this whole sidewalk project. In all fairness to Joe Caddy, wanted to do that a long time ago, have a proposal where they set up a plan of what sidewalks are going to be done like we do with the roads. I think that's the way we should be going.
That might be something else we can submit to see how we can do that. I actually don't think that's a bad idea. The problem is you'll have sidewalks that fall apart because something happened to it that you will have to submit a petition to. But I actually think that's a good idea. So that might be something we can look into.
Sure. Yeah, my concern would be the burden of work on engineering at DPW to monitor and evaluate and basically collect all that data. It seems that the system we have now, which is residents are very proactive about alerting their ward councilor and the city about, problems with the sidewalk. This is a ton of things. When you said, I think we'll be here a half hour, I'm like, wow, we're more efficient than I thought.
Went all the way over here.
Oh, it did? Oh, that's stinker. Thanks. Anyway, just my thought. I agree that it's a really good idea, but I would not want to overburden DPW and engineering with a kind of, a project that isn't like a burning house on fire. So
Are we
that's
doing a lot of sidewalks, Gary, when we do the roads over? I mean, so we're targeting a lot of the sidewalks that need to be repaired, right? Yeah.
Okay, so this, is ready to be done? Okay. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
It passes. 09423, Councilor Andrew Van Hazinga to repair the asphalt berm at 138 Mount Vernon Street, which was extensively damaged by snowplows during last winter.
Yeah, so this is one section that just got absolutely destroyed. It's just a heap of asphalt.
Wow.
And sometimes I don't think that's our DPW workers.
Now, often it happens this is close to a corner. So like also Mr. Jolly One's property, which is the next one, it's on a corner, and it wasn't necessarily that plows are plowing along it, it's that they're pushing into the corner
Yeah,
and hitting it, and it's just, the asphalt can't hold up to
that
that
much,
much pressure,
yeah.
especially with the big snowstorm we had.
Anybody?
I like Paul's idea of having markings on the side of the road. Maybe not make it required, but if the city were to urge residents to mark the edges of the curb, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it is.
I don't even think to do it on my own curb.
No, I think it's a good idea.
I've been clearing my catch basins so that they can see exactly where they need to plow. So my berm has been saved over the years by doing that.
Well, yeah, and I think some people are just do that stuff anyways, just to save the front of their house, and some people don't care. They just rather wait till the damage is done and call in, but I think a lot of people are proactive.
Yeah, just a friendly message reminder from the city.
That's good, that's something good to put out in when next winter arrives, or stop putting it out now.
Yeah, when you can actually mark the,
So we'll get this one done.
Move to approve 23?
All in favor?
Aye.
It passes. 09523, Councilor Andrew Van Hazinga to repair the asphalt berm at 131 Longwood Ave along Coswell Street, as well as the damage that was damaged by snowplows during last winter.
Same situation, it's near a corner, just got hit.
You got hit this year.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
If you look, you can see a lot of damaged burns.
Am I allowed to speak?
Certainly.
Just food for thought, the issue around the stakes. In my particular case, excuse me, I could have put stakes there, but just for informational sources, that backside, Caswell Street is a dead-end street. I border Caswell, Longwood, and Lyman. On the Caswell Street side, where I enter my garage, it's a very narrow street. So I take my snow blower and I open up curb to curb, and Mr. Van Hazinga can attest to that. You could land an airplane. So in my case, that snow was already back to the berm, and the berm was exposed. Also, there's a street sign that says Longwood Ave and Caswell, right on the edge of the berm. That's right there. And yet the berms still got torn up. So, as many things as you do, it may not necessarily.
And age could have been a factor too.
What's that?
Age could have been a factor of the
Yeah, they're
berm.
not
Was it
that
fairly
old.
new?
They're not that old.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, no. Our road was repaved and the berms were put in maybe 5 years ago at best.
Oh, okay.
I think this one got damaged in the big
The
storm.
big storm.
It did, I watched it happen. I
Oh.
can tell you who exactly did it. That really doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but it just, it happens. So even if you try and prevent it, it doesn't always prevent it. This definitely was the big storm where it was
The very
2 days,
beginning.
2 days after the storm had ended. It was Fitchburg DPW trucks that were looking to open up the ends.
Oh, okay.
You guys.
The snow's just
And I'm not pointing
so
fingers,
heavy.
I'm just saying, it still happens.
I was trying to take the heat off DPW. Council Schultz?
I was just gonna say, Gary, do you think, these last two have been corner berms? Do you think we could go with Cape Cod style berms there rather than to do those
The
upright
Cape
berms?
Cod would also get destroyed because they're not tied into the middle.
They're not tied in, yeah. You'd have to go quite a distance, right?
Yeah, I pulled it right away from the edge of the street. There's now a gap between where the pavement runs and where the curb is, but I a good amount of the water's getting in and now getting under the pavement. I'd hate to see a road that's paved relatively new become disrupted because of that.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
It passed, is everybody in agreement?
Yes.
All right, we have 105-23, City Councilor Bernie Schultz and Gina Texera of 40 Nashua Street to request repair of a sidewalk asphalt in front of 40 Nashua Street.
Went and took a look at it and it needs to be repaired.
Thank you.
Make a motion, we accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is an aside, they've done a nice job with that house, cleaning that house up, and, you know, it'd be nice to have the sidewalk that go along with the
Yeah.
house, that they really cleaned up on Nashua Street.
Was it vacant before?
I think it might have been, yeah. It certainly wasn't in good condition till they bought it, so, yeah, it looks really good.
Now we have 106-23, Marcus Di Natale and Andrew Kuchar on behalf of Leo and Deborah Bousquet to replace a damaged berm at 580 Shea Street.
Yes, it got damaged during the last storm.
Okay,
Move to approve?
Second?
and I'm gonna take this by unanimous consent. All right, now we have some petitions that were held. Before I read on, which, are you here to speak on one of these petitions, the ones that were held?
A couple of them,
Okay, all
if
right,
need be.
all right. I didn't know if we'd made any gains on this, so, okay, I was gonna say if there was nothing
I spoke with the
changed.
commissioner earlier today, and I wasn't sure who was on this committee. So I told him that I would come and speak if need be.
Okay,
Because I know a couple of these have been going back and forth between this and public safety.
Yeah.
And it seems like each committee keeps throwing it back to the other committee, so if need be, I'm here to
All
shed some
right.
light on it.
So we'll
Yeah, we
start
had a
with the first.
report for, what, 2 or 3 of these,
Yeah.
right? We had reports?
We have a report.
But it was a report that was just for informational, which I didn't read them all honestly, I still have them right here.
I read them, but it was like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could refresh our memories.
Let's see what we can do. It's been 3 months for me, too.
We got them at the last meeting.
At the last meeting.
That were given to us.
Physically, we didn't get them by
Physically.
email.
Oh, I never get one.
Oh, I don't think you were at the last meeting, you were sick. You were sick.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, let's start with 08920, Councilor Bernie Schultz and resident Alex Freeman to remove the no turn on red sign at the intersection of John T. Citrino, Memorial Drive, and Water Street.
Yeah, well, the engineering company did turn back that report, and they did suggest some changes, but they still would like to see the turn on red sign there.
Yeah, I talked to Nick yesterday about it, and he said, you know, you've got some money set aside to take care of those traffic lights, and that maybe if the traffic lights were taken care of, then we wouldn't have that backup on coming off the bridge onto Water Street. So hopefully that'll take care of itself, you know. But it's gonna, I don't know, did he give you any, like, time frame when that grant might be coming in, or?
No.
No, so.
So we want to hold this.
I think from the report, it sounded like, you know, to keep the no turn on red and just to make some improvements upon the
Yeah, it's gonna
intersection.
be a long-term project, it sounds like.
Right, so I would say that we should give this leave to withdraw
Leave to
because
withdraw.
the engineering report recommends that we do not remove the no turn on red.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody in agreement? Take it by unanimous consent. Okay, 09322, Councilor Sam Squallier on behalf of resident Nick Haynes to add four-way controlled stop at the intersection of Victoria Lane, Industrial Drive, and Game On Way during times of heavy traffic flow in or out of Game On facility. Residents of Victoria Lane do not have the right of way to cross and thus must wait for long periods while traffic lines go through. If a four-way stop sign is feasible, an alternate solution shall be investigated.
So for this one, there were 2 reports, and I don't know what happened to the later report, but I missed that one. So I only read the first report.
I don't remember getting the report. Was that
Right?
part of this one?
There was like a
Yeah,
preliminary
so-
and then there was like a final report.
I don't think I've even seen the final one. I talked to the commissioner a little bit about this afternoon. Basically, the first report kind of said what we thought it was going to say, which I think I alluded to when this first came up. It doesn't really, and I'm just going to paraphrase, because like I always tell you, I'm not an engineer, but they kind of came back with the same conclusion I had. It doesn't fit traffic-wise for most of the time. When there's a large event up there, we know obviously that all
Yeah.
kinds of traffic comes in.
Right.
So I think their first report basically said that they didn't think it was justified. They wanted to go up during a large event
Yes,
and do another
Yeah.
study.
Study.
yes.
So if I understood the commissioner correctly, they redid that and they kind of came up with the same scenario. I won't say percentages, but we'll just say like 80% of the time it's fine because there's no large events
Right.
there. When there's a large event, they made some maybe different alternatives, but a four-way stop is not going to help with the traffic up there. It probably would make it worse if we're adding another stop sign. So I talked to the chief about this probably a week and a half ago, and I talked to him again today after talking with the commissioner. And he agrees with an idea that I came up with if the councilors want to do it, and I would suggest that maybe, I know you put this in, Councilor, maybe the Wood Councilor, if he wants to talk to the residents. My thought is we, in conjunction with the signs that are supposed to be going in, I think DPW is still waiting for the game on to pay for the poles.
The new stop sign?
No, this is the no parking signs.
Oh, yeah.
So we can, because right now the police department can't enforce what you
Right.
passed because there's no signage. Game On's bought the signs.
About the signs, wherever
They haven't bought the poles yet. So once we get those in, then we can go up and enforce if anyone's parking. And I don't think we've really had that problem other than a few weeks ago. I think it's gotten better. My idea would be coming out of Game On, that entry and exit to Victoria Lane, we would cone off, this is just for large events, we would cone that roadway off. At the other entrance and exit way, we would cone that off and leave Roper Road just for the residents of Victoria Lane to come in and out of during large events. Not competing with any traffic from Game On because we wouldn't allow them to go over there. We can't close the road completely because it's a city street and it's part, Fitchburg is part Westminster. But Westminster has their struggles with the traffic that comes out of Game On when there's big events. So this would twofold. It would give the residents of Victoria Lane an in and out that only they can use, and it would stop traffic from Game On using Roper Road during large events. And our belief is that we can do that through the chief's discretion for public safety. It keeps an avenue for the residents up there to come in and out unabated with all the traffic.
Right.
Because there's just no way on a large event up there that we can regulate that traffic and make it move any faster. When you're bringing hundreds of cars in any large event, you know, larger than that, but if you go to a Patriots game or down in Boston for anything, for Red Sox games or things like that, when you put all that traffic, we can't get them in and out of there any faster. So this would give the residents an in and out, and I think it would be better for public safety. So if that's something the council wants to do, the chief is on board. We obviously would have to get Westminster on board for their side to be able to put up temporary signage when there's a large event, that's not a throughway. It's just for local traffic. So kind of goes with what you asked, Councilor. We don't want the four-way stop,
Yep.
but this is an alternative that we might want to try.
So just so I can communicate with the residents, the idea is during a large event,
Yep,
we cone off the one entrance so that no one can go in or out.
yes.
And then we temporarily cone off the other entrance, but we kind of angle it so that they can only come in or out
They would
through
just, it
Roper
would
Road.
just basically be them using it. And if,
If a resident was coming up Industrial Drive, they could just get out and move the car.
well, my idea with this is Game On has been very good. The last month and a half, they have hired details
That's
every weekend.
That was gonna be my
So
suggestion.
if we do this, then my suggestion to them, obviously would be coming from the council at this point, would be that they continue to hire an officer and that's where they would be located. So my thought is, if it isn't heavy traffic and you're a resident that forgot or just didn't want to use Roper Road and you came up, we would be able to get you in and out, with the understanding that when it gets busy, your best bet would be use Roper Road. I forget how many houses are up there, maybe 30 or so.
Yeah, something.
So that's Roper Road can handle that traffic, no problem, if people are just
Yeah.
leaving.
And Roper Road,
Regular-
that comes up near the back of,
Yeah,
The back of the field of Monty Tech.
Yeah, Monty Tech.
Yeah, it comes by the field and there's a condo facility up there.
oh, it's this, yes, I can. Have that, remove it. There, like there,
Yeah,
so,
and that goes out
yeah.
near that kind of main road where you
Yes.
get to, yeah.
Yeah,
Right
it
there.
comes right out to 2 acres.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, that's not too far out of the
If
way,
I
plus
had-
if you don't have to worry about
Yeah.
sitting there for 15 minutes.
If I had to guess, if you took the footage of going up Industrial Road and put that into that loop, I don't think you're having a resident maybe a mile out of their way, if that. But you're not gonna be sitting in that traffic going in and out of there, so.
Okay, so let's hold 9322 so we can talk to the residents.
Before we make motion?
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have to hire police officers to direct traffic up there? Why can't the DMR hire some people? They come out like the school bus guy and stops the traffic, and you go this way, then walk away on that one, those events.
Because we're not gonna put, civilians cannot go out on the roadway and direct traffic. You could do, there's civilian flaggers, all they can do is a sign that says slow or stop. They can't direct traffic. They can't close a road down and make a detour. So that's why a police officer is there, because we have powers, chapter 90 powers out in the roadway. They have, on large events, Game On has had people out there just with like flags or signs to wave people, and they can do that off the roadway, but we're not gonna put civilians out in the middle of hundreds of cars, it's too dangerous. So that's why they've been hiring.
Well, the only reason why I asked you that question is when they were doing the Kimball Street Bridge, they had details, but it was employees with stop signs that made people go,
Yeah.
and then they tell you to wave you on.
Yeah, so those are civilian flaggers who those construction companies put them through a course,
Yeah.
but all they can do is a sign that says slow or stop. They can't detour
Say go
traffic
this way,
and direct you around, so.
Oh, all right.
By all means, any company could do a civilian flagger system, but that wouldn't be having their employees just go out on the roadway. They need to be trained so that they
Well, you
don't
wouldn't
get
have to,
injured.
if you actually think about it, you wouldn't have to direct traffic, because if he comes out on the road, puts a stop sign, and then all of a sudden, he sees that car go, he walks back, and he can go, because the stop sign's down, because he's not holding the stop sign anymore.
I'm not sure we're asking council that there's already a stop sign in the roadway that makes them stop. All we're trying to do is stop them from going through the cones and go down and use the
All right,
road.
all right, I just thought I'd ask,
Yeah.
all right.
Council Squally, did you want to?
Oh, yeah, well, I move that we hold 9322.
Second.
I'll take this by unanimous consent. 24322, City Councilor Bernie Schultz and Judy Perler of 236 Walton Street to install a yield sign at pole 1615 facing out on Monroe Street at the intersection of Fairbanks and Monroe Streets to improve traffic safety when motorists depart from South Street Elementary School.
So that one, if my notes are right, I think it was the Public Safety Committee meeting on 11/15/22. That committee did a leave to withdraw for that.
Oh, okay.
So obviously the councilor is here.
Yeah.
We've done some work with the school department. The DPW went up there and cleared as much as they can on that corner because there's a fence that they have to deal with.
I went up there this afternoon, it's still, you know,
Yeah,
the
now
leaves are
we're-
coming out,
yeah, now
and
we're-
we still can't see.
We're
when you get
waiting
up
for
there.
the school department to do their section. I did talk with Mr. Roach over the winter, and I think it's something that's still on their agenda. Obviously, in the wintertime, all the leaves and stuff are
Yeah.
gone, so the sight lines were pretty good over
All
there.
right.
So again, we think if we can clear that corner out, it'll help the sight lines. I think we had talked about possibly on that guardrail, maybe updating the chevrons so that you know to go left when you come down the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
I guess the long story here is we realized that the yield sign wasn't
Wasn't
gonna do anything
We're talking
for us
about a
over there.
caution sign on
Yeah,
Fairbanks.
so we think that we could do some changes with sightlines. We also talked about the school department possibly getting together with the DPW if they were willing to do it. That section of Monroe, going back to the back of the school, is not wide enough for dual traffic. It's very narrow.
Yeah.
Realistically, I think years ago it was made just for an emergency, probably for police and fire
Right.
to get to the back of the school, but necessity over the years made it that they have to use it. And there is one house down there. So we talked about possibly widening that to the school property. So that what happens, the gentleman that lives there was fantastic when I spoke with him. He's not actually complaining. He just puts up with it that when he comes home and school traffic's coming out, they beep at him and yell at him because he's going the wrong way.
Oh,
Because coming out of the school, it's a one-way. But when
yeah.
you reach Monroe Street, it's a city street, it's actually two ways, but it really isn't wide enough. So
There's that
down
one
the road,
house,
we
right?
really should widen that.
Yeah, take down that fence and.
Yeah, take down the fence, so that's kind of something that we suggested that maybe the school department, if they can help a little funding with the DPW, I know that the commissioners, good with them widening the road, we don't think it would be too much of an issue. So they kind of had those talks. But the yield sign that this whole petition started with does not work over there. I think these other things that we want to do, if we can find funding, and some of it's just to get the work done.
That's why I'd like to keep it on hold, so we keep
That's-
attention on it
Yeah.
until.
I just don't know
until something's
how,
done.
I don't know how procedurally wise you guys can do that so that it doesn't have, it's gonna, I know what you're saying, you want it to keep coming up, but I don't know how long you have stuff that should keep coming up on here.
We've had things in here since 2020.
Well, this last one I had there from the
Yeah.
No Turner River
23rd.
was when
Yeah.
it first
That
started.
was, yeah, that's the one I was just looking at. That was
Yeah.
from 10/28/20.
Well, the No Turn on Red, we were actively working on. I mean, this petition, it's been determined that we shouldn't do the yield
Yield
sign. So maybe a
amend
new petition
Well, I can-
suggesting that we
Can we
widen.
amend this one?
I don't know, I feel like procedurally it might be
Yeah.
outside of the scope of the original petition, and we might just want
I
to put
think
a new
she's
one
right.
in.
Because it goes into a totally different,
Yeah, 'cause-
And so a new petition would be
Yeah.
something like, the school department owns the place in the corner? Is that
Yeah, so
correct?
the DPW one in there, there was a catch basin that was sinking.
Yeah,
They've repaired that. Gary actually came up with a plan, speak for himself, but they repaired the catch basin and they actually did it in a phase so that if they want to widen the road, it's ready to do that.
because
So that's already been done.
that's on Fairbanks, the catch
It's like right on
basin
that
that's
corner,
that
yeah.
fell.
So that, everything, they've done everything they can do up to this point, other than once we take the fence down and clear some more brush behind it, but that's school property.
Yes, if we put in a petition urging the city and the school department to work together to widen the road, then it would have to go to school committee and then they would have to discuss it. And then
I'll put in a new petition.
that's what I would suggest.
Okay,
To
so-
widen the road.
Yeah,
so we're gonna give this one
Leave to
leave to withdraw.
second.
Second,
Is there anything we can do in the meantime, though, Dan, to take care of when they come down that hill? If nothing's done, can we put some kind of cautionary sign at the bottom of the hill there
You're gonna put
to
the-
warn?
I think the chevrons would be the best thing,
Okay.
because there might still be a couple there, but they're probably so
Right.
worn out if they even are. But if we put new ones, those are gonna stick out at you.
Okay, so you can put some new shit on
At
it?
least you're seeing that the road ends abruptly there, and
Yeah.
you need to go left or right.
Right.
It is kind of a tough area.
And
It is tough.
they don't need a petition to do that.
No.
No.
And our final petition that was held was 24422. City Councilor Derek Cruz on behalf of Tyrone and Sheila Tynes, residents of Clyde Street. I request that the city of Fitchburg implement either no parking from here to corner or no parking signs at the corner of Hancock and Summer Street, an appropriate distance on both sides, as residents exiting Hancock Street cannot see past that row of cars. It has become a public safety concern to them.
This one we completely forgot too, didn't we?
Yeah, so that one on the meeting on 2/7/23, we did a leave to withdraw. And a little background on that one, we started doing some extra enforcement down there, which I think helped some. I don't think it's solved it completely. And I know that was amended at one point to go out to 50 feet, which at that public safety meeting, I suggested that we didn't do. What we kind of came up with Councilor Cruz down there, and I think the person that put the petition in with him was okay with it, is the DPW is gonna go down and just put a sign, no parking here at the corner, the 20 feet that's under the general parking ordinance.
Yeah.
We don't need a petition for that, just to remind people, and it'll make it easier if an officer goes down, just to be able to
Just
say
point to the sign.
that's the 20 feet. I always caution that we don't want to start putting those everywhere, because as we know from everything we're doing, one sign's not that expensive, but they are expensive now. Between a pole and a sign is what, Gary, about $300?
Yeah.
$350, so if we start putting those everywhere, it's gonna
Right.
get expensive, then they get knocked down and replace them, so. I always caution, let's only put them when we really need them. This seems like a spot that would be a good idea to do that, so the DPW is gonna go down and do that. So that's why we gave the leave to withdraw in public safety.
Give it leave to withdraw.
Second.
Give it leave to withdraw.
Okay, I'll take it by unanimous consent.
Right at that corner, those go on
Do
some.
I have a motion
Just
to
20 feet out.
adjourn?
Correct.
Second.
Are we all set, you know, I skipped over the vote to approve the meeting day, are we all set for the October 24th instead of the?
Oh, my gosh, sure, I did skip right over that, didn't I?
Oh, yeah, was there any
Yeah.
problem with DPW for the 24th?
25th?
Or Tuesday, the 24th?
Wait, Tuesday, yeah, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Wait, for next
Yes,
meeting?
for.
No, for October, because otherwise it was going to be on Halloween.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Tuesday, the
Okay.
24th, is no city council meeting.
But it could be planning or it could be zoning.
Well, yeah,
Planning, yeah.
that's
It-
always
it-
a
it-
problem.
If it's not a problem, we can do it in here. So whatever, we will find a meeting spot. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do it. Change the date to the 24th.
Let's skip right over that, sorry about that.
I brought it up originally, so that's what I remember.
It was a good eye.
Motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn.